One day, Nick comes home and Gatsby comes across the lawn and offers him a trip to Coney Island.
At this point, Nick is convinced that Gatsby is making sure that he'll invite Daisy over for tea. Nick assures Gatsby that Daisy be coming over.
Gatsby makes a couple of different offers to Nick, and Nick actually realizes that Gatsby is trying to repay him for inviting Daisy over for tea.
Nick denies these offers as he feels insulted by this, and he feels like Gatsby is trying to buy his friendship.
On the day of the meeting, things kind of seem to be awkward between Daisy and Gatsby at first. But Nick leaves them alone for a while, and when he comes back, they seem really happy.
Gatsby then takes Daisy and Nick over to his house and shows them his collection of expensive things.
Nick realizes that he's no longer needed and just kind of leaves.
There's a lot of character development in this chapter. This chapter develops Gatsby's character very effectively. It shows that Gatsby is shallow in the sense that he thinks he can buy anything and anyone he wants with his money. However, it shows that he has feelings just like a real boy. This is shown through his affection for Daisy. Also developing Gatsby's character in this chapter is this. Open up your books, children.
Well, this would interest you. It wouldn't take up much of your time, and you might be picking up a nice little bit of money. It happens to be a rather confidential sort of thing. I realize now that under different circumstances, that conversation might have been one of the crises of my life. But because the offer was obviously a tactlessly for a service to be rendered, I had no choice except to cut him off there. I've got my hands full, I said. I'm much obliged, but I couldn't take any more work.
This shows how Gatsby is extremely rich, and this affects his character in the way that he can always use money as leverage on others. When Nick rejects Gatsby's offer and puts Gatsby in an unfamiliar situation, he proves to the audience that he truly doesn't know what friendship is.
Also in this chapter, we see the development of Daisy's character. Before this chapter, we see Daisy as kind of limited to her life with Tom.
But in this chapter, she's starting to come out of her shell. No pun intended.
This is shown when she is reunited with Gatsby and they're simply gay together. Now we move on to plot development. This chapter is a turning point in the novel. Until this point, very little conflict has occurred. We have only been introduced to each character. This chapter changes the path of the novel and gives us insight into the life of Gatsby. This chapter foreshadows that something might happen between Daisy and Gatsby.
Open up your books, children. I went in, after making every possible noise in the kitchen, short of pushing over the stove. But I don't believe they heard a sound. They were sitting at either end of the couch, looking at each other, as if some question had been asked, or was in the air, and every vestige of embarrassment was gone. Daisy's face was smeared with tears, and when I came in, she jumped up and began wiping at it with her handkerchief before a mirror. But there was a change in Gatsby that was simply confounding. He literally glowed. Without a word or a gesture of exultation, a new well-being radiated from him and filled the little room.
I'm a bear now.
I'm still a turtle,
That's chapter 5 for you.
but we got some questions. What do you think may happen as a result of Daisy and Gatsby's reunion?
How will this reunion affect Gatsby's character? Will he become more social? Why are we wearing animal costumes?
To spice it up.
Yeah.